If you play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and it's a 4-player free-for-all and your instinct is to hide at the edge of the stage while everyone else dukes it out in the middle, you are a hoe bag. You might say I'm playing tactically, to which I would reply you're playing like a little bitch. I have played about 20 online matches, and almost half of them had at least one person, sometimes even more than one, just spectating on the sidelines, tossing the occasional projectile and running scared whenever anyone went over to chase them down. It's one thing to wait for a solid opening, it's another to pitch a tent as far as possible from the action and just act like a tennis ball machine, shooting projectile after projectile into the fray at consistent intervals. I don't know how anyone can think there's anything respectable about that. I remember like 4 years ago, back before the Wii U Smash Bros. Came out. I don't remember the specifics, but some tournament or event had this 4-player Smash Invitational to try the game a couple months before release, and it was recorded on YouTube or something. This was before I followed competitive Smash, so I don't know who the players were, if they were even competitive, but it was 3 dudes and a chick, and it was a 4-player free-for-all, and I remember this fight clearly because I was hyper-focused on the girl who picked Wii Fit Trainer because of what she did. The match started, the 3 guys all came at each other near the middle, this girl immediately went over to the side of the stage and just started spiking soccer balls at everyone, over and over, just that one attack, constantly. And the dudes were fucking letting her, which pissed me off. Like, nobody even really tried to stop her at all. They were so busy focusing on each other. But what really took the cake for me was that the match was being commentated, and the commentators, one of which I am 99% sure was D1, were giving her props. At least one of them was, and the other wasn't disagreeing. Which, in that situation, I guess you don't openly disagree that one of the players is being good when they're going to watch that back later, but they were like, what's her name, hanging back, just throwing balls into the crowd, that's a good strategy. Fuck you, that's a good strategy. That shit is craven. I think she won. I remember being mad about who won, so I'm pretty sure she won. And so there's obvious pushback to this opinion, which is that it is strategic and smart, or that even if you're doing it to be a dick, it's okay because honor and integrity aren't important. Honor and integrity are paramount to prevent the erosion of good competitive sport. Good sportsmanship is a positive attribute for a reason. You don't just want to play to win the game, you want to play in such a manner that you are invited back to play again, whether you win or lose. That's true victory, to be someone who is frequently called upon to play. And it turns out people don't want to play with dicks. I don't care how good you are. If you play like an asshole, you'll be treated like one and shunned. If I had been in that match, I'd have singled her out and made sure she took 4th place. The guardians of integrity will stoop to your level to dispatch threats. Hey, it's just strategy. By quickly eliminating one opponent, there's less danger for me to confront for the rest of the match. I'm being smart and tactical, and taking sweet revenge in the process. Avoiding the fray and projectiling is a decidedly feminine thing to do. Some of you are like, oh fuck, here we go. But it's actually objectively psychologically true, which isn't to say that only girls do it, but it's a feminine tactic. Guys who do it are more feminine in that aspect than guys who don't. I mean, I don't think most people would argue that rushing headlong into the heat of battle isn't a predominantly masculine thing to do, which is what all 3 guys did. Even staunch feminists attribute pig-headedness and strength-based posturing to men when they make fun of them. That's how I know this is universal. The same people who would decry me for calling fray avoidance a feminine tactic would watch that match, see her win as a result of said tactic, and go, see guys? Women know when brute force isn't the answer. Hashtag God is a woman, or some shit. You watch something like Criminal Minds and they almost go out of their way to remind people that behavioral psychology is incredibly gendered. Women are more likely to use indirect methods of killing, like poison, or in this case, projectile soccer balls. The parallels are clear, and the neuroscience is solid. The recourse against this conclusion, and the way to still attempt to frame me as a misogynist or something, is to say that even if we accept that it's a feminine tactic, you have said that you hate it, and that it's cowardly and dishonorable, so doesn't that mean you hate feminine thinking? To which I replied, just that one, and just in that situation. I don't mind if you're a girl and you choose to murder a guy in real life via poison, as opposed to challenging him to solo combat. As a woman, you're at a physical disadvantage in real life, unless you're super buff and he's a wimp. You gotta do what you gotta do. In Super Smash Bros., however, we all have the same means at our disposal, no matter which gender is at the controls, which makes your particular tactic of cheap bullshit unnecessary, unless you still consider yourself handicapped, of course. There are girls who rush headlong into the fray, and I respect them. They're using a masculine plan of attack and not being dicks. It's a fighting game, after all. Physical combat is decidedly not feminine in nature. This is just my engagement preference when it comes to free-for-all fighting games. Try not to paint a caricaturized version of my entire belief system with it, if you would. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at SunburnedAlbino, and you can support the channel on Patreon at patreon.com/SunburnedAlbino. And I'll see you guys next time.